I believe we are live on YouTube. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It is Tuesday. Uh-oh. I forgot something. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay. We are live on YouTube, I believe, right now. Yes. Let me double check. Welcome to the Inner Solutions Weekly Anxiety and Mental Health Q&A. YouTube fam. That's what the kids shorten family for. How are you? So good to be here. I don't see us live on YouTube yet. Not sure what's going on there. But hopefully that'll be up momentarily. Oh, there we are. And man, so excited to be here. My name is Jim. I'm a mental health coach with Inner Solutions. And I work one-on-one with clients. I also teach group coaching classes as well as provide content on YouTube right here for those struggling with anxiety or other mental health ailments from a guy and from actually a company where we struggled for years, went through the gauntlet of medication, and were able to work through it ourselves through private study, through the help of mentors, teachers, and now we teach and help others along in their journey through anxiety, depression, and other mental health ailments. Live anxiety and mental health Q&A. So if you are here, feel free to post your questions in the chat or the comments on YouTube. And yeah, if you're a newcomer to the channel, we always offer every newcomer a free coaching call. And the link to do that is in the description below. So we're live on YouTube. We're all set. Now we're going to go live on Facebook. And we are live-ish. There we go. We're live. Live on YouTube. Are live on YouTube and Facebook at the same time, which is fantastic. Guys, this is so exciting. If you're just tuning in on Facebook, my name is Jim Cipollini. I'm a mental health coach with Inner Solutions. We are a company that started helping people struggling with panic attacks, anxiety, depression, or other mental health ailments from two guys who struggled for years. I personally went through the gauntlet of medication. I went through the gauntlet of trying many different therapists, some of whom were helpful, some of whom were not, and just had to figure out that I had to kind of find my own recipe, and that came through reading a lot about all different models of therapy, all different tools that I had to put in my toolbox. And that's the key. If you're someone struggling with anxiety, if you're someone struggling with some other mental health ailment, you're not stuck where you're at. And you kind of know this. That being said, you have to be the leader of your journey, meaning doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, all those can be great consultants, but you have to be the centerpiece in your quote-unquote recovery. Now, you're not broken, nor are you lost. There's just an evolution that's happening within you. And what that means is commit to feeling better. And once you commit to feeling better, you're good to go. Then it's a matter of time and follow through. All right. So guys, the way we do this is if you have questions, you can post them in the comment section below. And I will get to all the questions that happen tonight. Post your questions here. And again, if you're new to Inner Solutions and you haven't done so yet, we always offer everybody a free first coaching call. And you can schedule that by the link that's in the description, both on YouTube and Facebook right now. Our buddy Ennis, not here tonight, still dealing with some personal stuff. We wish him the best and hope for him to come back as soon as possible. We love him and miss him. But, you know, I talk to him regularly. He's doing well. And he's okay. The theme these last couple weeks with myself and clients is The theme is emotional release. So there's been a lot of instances of clients, whether it's in our group coaching, whether it's in our one-on-one. What's up, Gosha? How are you? Good to see you. Whether it's with clients one-on-one or it's with the group clients, there's been a common theme the last couple weeks about a correlation between depersonalization, derealization, and feeling stuck emotionally. And I've had this in myself. I actually had this in myself last month when I was going through something heavy, and I derealized for the first time in a really, really long time. Really, really long time. I mean, I think it's been years and years. And so, I was applying all the techniques, all the tools that we teach to you guys and all the tools that we teach to clients. And, they were working. But the difference between kind of dealing with the symptoms and then really getting to the source of what's going on. And there was a moment after a few days of being really derealized. By the way, derealization, if you don't know, is when nothing seems real. Everything seems fake. Depersonalization being you feel very disconnected to yourself, and dissociation feeling like really disconnected with your body. Depersonalization, dissociation, very close. The derealization, dissociation being more the derealization and depersonalization at the same time. Somewhat hard to differentiate. And so I was in Florida, and this was the worst part. I was on vacation, very derealized. And when I finally, after a few days, was able to just sit and release this pressure and fear and have even a little bit of a cry, which for me is my go-to to kind of release emotion. It was almost like my spirit re-entered my body, and I just felt presence again. I felt like a human being again. And so that theme, hey Wendy, how are you? Good to see you. Hope everything's great with everything going on with the family. But our body a lot of times learns over time. We develop a protective part of us that will stuff emotion down, that will keep a stiff upper lip, that will soldier on. And that can be reinforced a lot by our work environment, by our parents, by our husbands, wives, by friends. You're fine, just keep going, it's okay. No, you're fine. And a lot of times that could be due to their discomfort, their feeling of powerlessness. And especially if you're struggling with anxiety, the people around you, even if you're open and honest with them, and we hear this all the time, that the people around me just don't understand. Unless they've been through it, they don't understand. And to a certain extent, you're right. Nobody can understand your experience. Hey Don, how are you? Thanks for coming by. And guys, please, if you're here, we'd love to have you just check in. How's everything going with anxiety? How's everything going with your mental health? If it's good, that's great. If you're having issues, we'd love to help you out and give you some insight on what's going on with you. Only if you're comfortable sharing, no pressure, obviously. So the theme being, a lot of times we're reinforced to just soldier on. And I see it in clients all the time. And when you get underneath that protective part, that protector that's, an emotional side swiper, an emotional minimizer. And look, it's that part's intention is to empower you. But when you can get under there, under the anger, under the anxiety, to the fear, and you can be in touch with that maybe younger, maybe smaller part of you, and just let it know, hey, it's okay to cry. It's okay to let loose. It's okay to let go. It's okay to trust. It's okay to not have control of everything. That can be a gigantic, extremely formative experience. And through that, you can feel the presence of being honest and integrated. Because again, even though there's a protector, a protective part of you trying to help you not feel something deeper. That protector is holding a burden and doesn't necessarily want to do that job. Because ultimately we want to feel integrated. And it feels good, and it feels clear, and it feels it's a spiritual experience to be completely transparent and authentic, even with yourself. So that being said, we hope everybody's, like me and my team here, I hope everybody has some space in which they feel like they can just be completely open, whether it's with yourself, with your partner, whether there's someone you can really lean on and just be open and honest and vulnerable with. It's a really beautiful experience. You know, Ennis and I, we spend a lot of time talking to each other about what's going on outside of the business. We were friends first. Ennis is a really deep, beautiful soul. Hey, Shantae, how are you? I'll get to your question in a minute. We'll get to your comment in a minute. Thanks so much for showing up. Welcome. Ennis has this really wonderful, beautiful soul. And so we're at such a beautiful place with each other because we know each other well. We practice coaching and, hey, Cindy, how are you? We practice coaching each other, and we use our coaching ability to see from the outside. And seeing somebody from the outside is so different than being in the experience, because you just have so much insight. And so we spend a lot of time kind of co-coaching each other. It's a beautiful gift. And, he'll call if he's going through something. I'll call if I'm going through something. And it's developed into this really wonderful business and personal and then coaching relationship too. And no one's immune to this kind of self-deception. And so, again, the theme being getting underneath to the fear and releasing the emotion. Let's get to some of the comments here. Wendy says, hi, Jim. Hey, Wendy. So good to see you. Dawn, good to see you, Jim. Hey, good to see you too, Dawn. How's your heart? How's everything? How's your mental health? Shantae says, hello, everyone. How's everyone? How's everyone's night? Well, lost my mom Christmas Eve and having horrible panic attacks, and these panic attacks have me losing my mind. Yeah, so Shantae, first thing we always tell clients is to debunk the myths about panic attacks. Number one, they're not going to kill you. Number two, they're not going to make you go crazy. Number three, they're not going to make you lose control. Now, it can feel that way in the moment, Shantae, because the physical sensations can be so strong and so overwhelming, where it triggers a lot of emotional reasoning. And emotional reasoning is when, you start to feel fear. And so this part of you kind of catastrophizes, that gets really scared. Oh my God, I'm dying. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing control. This is unpredictable. And so then actually what becomes the worst part of the panic attack is the fear of the panic attack, right? We see this all the time. And then it becomes, I'm scared to drive because I'm scared. What if I have a panic attack while driving? What if I have a panic attack while I'm with, my baby grandson? What if I have a panic attack while I'm hiking in the woods alone? What if I have a panic attack at work and everybody sees me? And so it turns into these kind of two, what we call feedback loops. Feedback loop being you have a thought or a sensation and one triggers the other. So the sensation triggers the thought, which triggers more of a sensation, which triggers more of a thought. And so the fear builds and spirals and escalates very quickly. But Shantae, with a death, with some sort of grieving process, it can stir up some beliefs that were there but being covered by the person in different relationships. And then ultimately, it can also stir up some really deeper anxieties that weren't so apparent before. A lot of times this happens when a parent dies and someone has the fear of being alone. And there's also the suppressed emotion theory, which is a lot of anxiety comes from regret, guilt, feeling like things are unsaid. So Shantae, what I want to do, number one, is I want to send you a copy of the Panic Response Plan. It's our ebook that we wrote. It's a how-to guide of how to deal with a panic attack while it's happening. And then furthermore, destimulating your nervous system and working with these deeper irrational beliefs that you might have about panic attacks or other things. So it's kind of a 1, 2, 3 step guide into dealing with a panic attack in real time and how to prevent it over time. So Shantae, if you want to message us your email in the, you can just message it to us here on Facebook. And also Shantae, if you haven't, we offer a free coaching call to anybody who's new to the live stream. And the link to that is in the description. Yeah, it can be a lot. It can be a lot. What's up, Anisha? How are you? Miss you, buddy. Miss having you around. Hope everything's going really well. Absolutely. Cindy says, yes, my son's death brought a lot of anxiety to the surface, all that you just spoke of. I've had clients who, when there was a death, just started having like unbelievable anxiety, like went from a level 3 or 4 to a level 8, 9, 10, started losing sleep. And that triggered a heck of a lot of other anxieties. With a major event like this, like I said, it can definitely stir up a lot of kind of a lot of peripheral anxiety. And that means, maybe you didn't have certain anxieties before, but it's starting to manifest as medication anxiety, illness anxiety, hypochondria, obsessive compulsive disorder. And again, what it's doing is just kind of, almost like a tornado. It's sweeping up stuff that was already there. And so the difference between panic attacks and general anxiety is pretty different. The treatment is pretty different. A panic attack, again, is we kind of have that 4-step process. We start with the box breathing. We go to the reframing or the challenging, kind of, a different method of reframing the experience and turning the tide. Then we go into some sensory soothing, and then we go to reintegration and finding an activity that you can go back into. And so the panic attack is much more a quick kind of cognitive toreador act, a matador act, where you're just watching these catastrophizing and feedback loop inducing thoughts pass by instead of absorbing them. And then you're signaling to your nervous system, it's okay, like we're okay. General anxiety is similar in a lot of ways, but different in that it's not a quick, 2 to 10 minute physical and cognitive rush, right? It's a consistent, constant rush. And this often comes from traumatic experiences and sitting in chronically stressful situation for long periods of time. Soldiers in a war zone, children in a neglectful or an abusive home, dealing with an impulsive or unpredictably emotional parent. And that sensitivity is risen. That ability to kind of read the situation, you learn that you're in a war zone, you have to pay closer attention because the results or the stakes are higher. That parent, maybe it can explode on you. That abuser, you're always kind of checking in with what state are they in? Are they going to hurt me today? Do I need to be on guard? So a lot different. What's up, Teresa? How are you? It's our Tuesday check-in. Let me check YouTube. Goja. Hey, Goja, how are you? Hey, Anisha. I need that link again, please. What link do you need, Goja? Shoot us a message on Facebook. And I'm happy to send you guys the link. If you don't have the panic response plan, guys, oh yeah, definitely time to get it. It really is a comprehensive book. It's weird to say like, hey, I wrote a book. And then people will be like, it's an ebook. But it's also an audiobook with commentary read by, hey, what has two thumbs and narrated his own audiobook? This guy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Christina says, suggestions for hypochondriac behavior, sensations bringing panic, which brings on more sensations. Yeah, so Christian, we call that the feedback loop. So they changed the name of hypochondriac? Yeah. They changed the name to illness anxiety. Not really sure why, but so Christian, it's important to understand, number one, where the hypochondriasis comes from. Typically, it comes from a related traumatic event, whether that's somebody suffered from some kind of illness that you're worried about getting, whether it's related to somebody, kind of imprinted this really deep anxiety in you, maybe in your youth, maybe recently, or maybe you were scared straight from the news. Typically, it comes from some sort of traumatic event. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes it can come from what I was talking about a minute ago, which is, you're in a chronically stressful situation, or you have kind of other traumatic experiences in your life. Maybe you had like a drug-induced panic attack, which happens a lot. A lot of times that happens with marijuana. If somebody smokes a lot of marijuana, they go to this kind of paranoia state. So starting by kind of understanding that is key. So if you look on PubMed, which is like medical, the scholarly journals, the latest research and everything, the typical treatment for illness anxiety, aka hypochondriasis. Am I saying that right? Can I get a little help in the chat here? Hypochondriacness. The typical treatment is a combination of cognitive behavioral therapy with some sort of SSRI, which is a medication. Now, we don't medicate, we don't diagnose, whatever. We focus on holistic therapies. We have the belief that with enough commitment and work, 99.999% of the population can overcome their anxiety holistically through different types of therapeutic models that don't require medication. That being said, medication can certainly bridge the gap. Okay, so Christian, you're saying you're very sick in 2019. Now any sensation freaks you out. Sure. So it's important to get intentional. Right. Nobody's given me a phonetic spelling of hypochondriasis. I need somebody to Google that and spell it phonetically for me, please. And Christian, welcome to the channel. If this is your first time, my name is Jim. So it's important to know what you're really scared about is going back to where you were in 2019. And so what cognitive behavioral therapy is taking basically thought replacement. You're replacing an inaccurate story that a scared part of you is telling you, a really scared thought pattern is telling you, and replacing it with a much more accurate, grounded thought. Now, the trick to CBT is that it's almost impossible to do when you have overwhelming emotions. So if you're in the middle of a panic attack and you're having thoughts, this is going to be terrible, this is going to get worse, it's going to be very difficult to write down a more accurate thought that you believe. So what we do to help ground us in this situation is a few different things. There's a technique where you can kind of use some sort of sensory soothing tool, something like lavender oil or incense, speak of the devil. I'm going to light some incense now. Something to help soothe your nervous system so that you get a little bit more of your intellectual capacity back, so that you're not just completely overwhelmed by emotion, therefore making it almost impossible to do anything but reason with that fear or emotion that you have. Because if you're left to that vice, what's going to happen is the replacement thought, you're not going to believe it. And it's imperative that the replacement thought you put in to your CBT exercise is something that you believe to be true. So let's take, for example, let's say you have a sensation where your heart is beating a little harder than normal. And so you're scared that it's a sign of a heart attack. Okay. So the thought that you would have in your head is, my heart's beating hard, I must be having a heart attack. So we'd go to our list of cognitive distortions. A cognitive distortion is simply a thought that is distorted, that is wrong. We have a list of common cognitive distortions. They include everything from all or nothing thinking. Hey, Carmen, how are you? Welcome. All or nothing thinking, to emotional reasoning, to magnifying, to ignoring the positives, to future predicting. So you'd go through that list, and that will help ground you. Once you see this list of cognitive distortions, it can kind of zap you a little bit out of the heavy emotion to ground you, to say, hey, these are some common thought errors. And when you see yours on there, something clicks and zaps you back down a little bit. Not always back down to kind of a zero, but gives you a little bit more groundedness to where you can now reason more objectively and more efficiently. By the way, does this look like I'm in like a 1980s hair metal video with this smoke? It kind of does, but it's kind of cool, so we'll go with it. So the next step, you're going to identify those cognitive distortions. Commonly, you'll find there's like 3 or 4 really primary ones that you're doing with that thought. My heart is beating hard, I must be having a heart attack, right? So that's going to be distortion. That's going to be that's going to be future predicting, which you can't do. That's going to be magnifying. That's going to be leaving out certain details. That's going to be kind of all or nothing thinking. If my heart's palpitating, it must be the worst case scenario. Catastrophizing, all kinds of things. So now we're going to switch. We've identified the cognitive distortions. We've identified why our thought is inaccurate. Now we're going to pivot over to a replacement thought. And that can look something like this. While I feel my heart is beating faster than normal, this is a typical sign of anxiety. And I know that I've been through this before, and it's past, right? So most likely what's happening is anxiety. And furthermore, if you're somebody, most of the times people with hypochondriasis, I know hypochondriac, thank you, Teresa, got my back, appreciate it. Most of the time, people with the illness anxiety have been checked out several times. That's very common, that you'll go to the doctor, and then after, a handful or more of times, the doctor says, hey, you're fine. Like, you've gotten an EKG, you've gotten all these things done, you're okay. You don't need to keep coming back for this particular thing. It's most likely anxiety. You can add that to your thought replacement too, which is, I've been to the doctor several times. Each time it turns out that my blood work is fine, my heart rate is fine, and most likely this is just anxiety. So now you have this thought ready. You can write it on a note card. You can record a video of you saying it, so that when you start to panic a little bit, you can click that video and it'll say, hey, Christian, listen, I know your heart's beating a little harder right now, but we've been through this before. It's almost certainly anxiety. We've been to the doctor, we've had the EKG done, all your blood work it's come out fine, your echoes come out fine. This is just anxiety. And so you're stopping, Christian, what we call that feedback loop, that thought triggers the sensation, triggers a thought, triggers the sensation, triggers a thought, and spirals out of control. So that's a common exercise, that CBT exercise. If the thing about CBT, again, is it can help ground you 100%. And it does work. It's been shown to work with clients and everything. We also use it in combination with a method of therapy called internal family systems, which we talk about ad nauseum on this show. And if you're sick of hearing about it, sorry, but it's awesome. So this personifies you in parts. So there's a part of you that's extremely scared, a protective part of you that's scared of feeling something you don't want to feel. And the feeling for you most likely is vulnerability or out of control or sick. And so this part thinks, well, if I alarm him with every sensation, or I alarm her with every single sensation and say, oh, this could be it. Oh, we're getting sick. You got to do something. Then if we catch it early, maybe we won't go back to that place. So does that make sense, Christian? It's like that CBT approach is kind of the most recommended presently, but this internal family systems therapy is very much, and we're not affiliated with them in any way. We just found this, and we've run it with clients, and it works. It works over time. It's a really beautiful, sustainable model to help you get in touch with yourself and align these parts of yourself. So what you do is you kind of help calm and soothe that part of you that feels like it has to tell you every time there's something, very similar to like you would like a child who's very, very scared or paranoid about something. And so, Christian, if you want more information about that, or if you want to book a free coaching session with us, if you haven't had one, you can click on the link in the description here. Let's go over and see what's popping in YouTube. Not much. Welcome to the YouTube fam. If you're watching, we appreciate you so much. And also welcome to the Facebook fam. Guys, if you're here, I really want to applaud you for taking your important, really valuable time and spending it here to learn a little more, to come share. And really want to encourage you guys to share, overshare. There's no such thing as oversharing here. And feel free to link up with each other or, comment on each other's things and show support. One of the main purposes of this community is to destigmatize and to help y'all feel not alone, because you're not. The numbers are staggering for anxiety, absolutely staggering with how many people struggle with general anxiety. So you're not alone, you're not stuck, and there's lots and lots of support out there for you. All right, let's talk to Dawn. Dawn says, very anxious these days with the presidential stuff. Wow, this is amazing. We've never covered this in the almost year we've been doing this live stream. Very anxious these days with the presidential stuff. Husband is a cop in Boston. I used to live in Allston and Brighton and Brookline. And he's working a lot of forced overtime, and I worry. Every time something goes on, I panic. How do I stop? Well, there's a short answer and there's a long answer. And Dawn, what do you mean by every time something goes on, I panic? You mean every time there's like a protest or something on the news? Yeah, so Dawn, short term, I would, if there's something that's triggering you, I would advise you to turn it off temporarily until you grow a little more strength and a little more of stronger boundaries. It's almost like if the dog keeps, picking at his stitches, we got to put the cone on him. And you have to kind of eliminate the trigger right off the bat. This is why people who you see this the most in people with their family, right? So it's like they are triggered constantly by their family, and they try to reason with them. They try to talk with them. But for some reason, maybe the two parties just can't get on the same page. And so they're like, I got to take some space. And you take some time. Now, during that time, hopefully they're exploring themselves. They're understanding why they're being triggered. They're understanding what the fear is. So, Dawn, I would say, what are you scared would happen? And furthermore, what is this part of you who's inducing this panic? Is it trying to tell you something, or does it feel like a part of you that's extremely scared? Is it a part of you trying to alert that there's a threat, or is it part of you that just feels, helpless, powerless, controlless, and extremely scared? Very, very different sensations there. When we talk about anxiety, there's either these kind of stuck parts of us that are paranoid. And Dawn, one thing I want to add is when we talk about the suppressed emotion theory, is there a reason? And this might sound really stupid, but just not that this is going to happen. I'm not future predicting. Is there any reason to believe that if something were to happen to your husband, that you wouldn't be okay? Beyond just, missing your husband emotionally. Is there any reason to believe that without your husband, you would kind of cease to exist? And that could be in many different ways, that things would not be okay. And furthermore, if something were to happen to your husband, is there something you think would remain unresolved, unconcluded? Is there some sort of potential you feel like you guys aren't tapping into? Is there something that's unsaid between the two of you? Is there something that isn't at peace with the two of you, or with something linked with him? And again, we're not throwing up our hands and accepting that this is inevitable. We're exploring why this panic is here. So, Don, we'd love to get some more information from you. I keep saying we. Hey, me and my guys. Me and this guy. Isn't this cute? Me and Rip Van Winkle. Just kidding. Don says the last time the riots in Boston, his police car was burned, he could have died. Yeah, so again, Don, there's no, we're not accepting that he's going to pass. We're not saying that's, we're not catastrophizing. We're not future predicting. The question is, if something were to happen to him, do you feel like you could go on? Because if the answer is no, then we've completely targeted exactly where we need to explore, and explore that more deeply. Because now we know, at least intellectually, why that panic is happening. Now, it sounds really, it can sound kind of coarse. It can sound kind of cold to even go into that space, but we have to go there. That's what we do. That's what we do as coaches. That's what we do as people exploring ourselves and on our emotional and spiritual journey. Emotional journey, mostly. Yeah, Cindy says, you mentioned smelling scents to help calm yourself down from anxiety, panic. Please explain if you can. Yeah, so if you study like dialectical behavioral therapy, and I throw these out there just to kind of give some credibility to what we're saying, because this is scientifically tested, meaning, DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, one of the most common forms of therapy known, thousands and thousands of therapists use it. A main part of DBT is emotional regulation. And helping yourself when you have these huge floods of emotion, like many of you do, like, I do, if there's a really anxiety-inducing situation or something like a panic attack. A panic attack is just like the most intense form of anxiety that's out there. And so with what's happening to a panic attack, your mind is detecting a threat, triggering this mechanism in your body. Your body releases adrenaline, carbon dioxide, glucose into the bloodstream, gets you jacked up. So your heart starts beating hard. You start to feel like you're going to have a heart attack but what your body's doing is getting you jacked up to run away or to engage and fight. When people say they have control of their adrenals, it means they can kind of tap into that. They can get themselves real excited. And again, it is the same chemicals you get when you're really excited, when, you're at a concert and everybody's jumping around, when if you have a great experience at a church where you just feel, a lot of times people say it's the, something magical through the air. A lot of times it's your adrenaline. Same sensation as a panic attack. The difference is with a panic attack, it can feel like it's completely out of control and that there is no rhyme or reason or consistency with it. So, with that approach, when there's a heavy flood of emotion, whether it's sadness, anger, frustration, rage, depression, hopelessness, a lot of times we have such a heavy physical experience that it's so rooted in our nervous system. It's so deeply ingrained in our nervous system So we want to send this signal to the nervous system. Number one, either that we don't need to panic, or number two, we want to send a signal that everything's okay. Something soothing. Very similar to how if a child was upset, mother would grab them or father would grab them. They'd calm them down. They'd soothe them. So that, number one, we don't act on heavy emotion. Number two, that we come back to our base state. So scent, to me, is the most powerful one. So we can use, you got a bunch of senses. You can taste. You can, taste something that's soothing or taste some cold water. You can listen to some really calming, soothing music, like this awesome hang drum music in the background that makes me want to do this. You can look at something calming. So maybe you can go outside and watch a beautiful stream or look at the flowers. You can touch or feel like a beautiful fabric, like this amazing sweater from Target that was, a have to get. Or for me, you can use lavender oil or lavender incense or a great candle, or smell your husband's cologne or something that'll soothe you. And smell is excellent because I want to say smell skips. Why is smell the most effective sensory soothing tool? I want to say that smell kind of goes right into your limbic system. Smell is often considered the most significant trigger of memory compared to other senses. There's a neurophysiological connection. Okay, so yeah, smell, and I remember reading this, I can't remember which part, it kind of skips the intellectual part of your brain, goes straight to your limbic system or your brainstem to soothe you, to kind of bring you out of the experience you're having and into a more calm state. This is, pleasantly associated smells for the most part. Oh, it's going to bother me. I got to reread the article because I can't remember that. What's up, Brother Ben? Yeah, true that. Nice. Yeah, so again, when you're trying to soothe, when we have a combination of kind of racing thoughts or ruminating thoughts and really heavy physical sensations, we're trying to soothe the nervous system. And we're trying to ground ourselves, meaning getting out of our head, getting out of, anywhere but being here. We want to be back and be present, feeling like we're in our body. So that can come from releasing the emotion, that can come from sensory soothing, and that can come from distracting a lot of times. And so with DBT, with the dialectical behavioral therapy, a lot what they promote is a lot of soothing, distracting. And smell and other sensory tools can be fantastic, but smell tends to be the most effective because it's just boom. There we go. See? Brother Ben. Guys, can we get some love for Brother Ben Cipollini here? The doctor of neuroscience. Right? He literally is a doctor of neuroscience. Smell is directly connected to the limbic system. No top-down feedback like other sensory systems have. Brother Ben comes in with the assist. But it works. It's amazing. That's why I'm always lighting incense. I mean, even if you're not at a level 9, 10 anxiety, just to soothe yourself, to find pleasant smells, can be amazingly relaxed. Yeah, so Cindy, through the research we've done, lavender oil, the thing is, it's kind of personal, it's kind of personally applicable, depending on what your association with the smell is. But we've done studies we've done studies to find the studies that lavender oil is kind of proven to be one of the most effective universally. I don't know if that's because they've just studied lavender oil. It's kind of the most common oil. But I would recommend lavender oil. But what I would really recommend is you go to a place where they have a lot of different oils and you just smell a bunch of them and pick the one that works best for you. And then you can get an oil diffuser, or you can just put some on your wrist and smell your wrist while you're doing. What I really recommend is that you combine the box breathing with the sensory soothing if you're using smell, because you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. So you do the 4x4 breathing, 4 out, hold for 4, 4 in, hold for 4. And you can do that while you're kind of smelling that oil on your wrist, or maybe just smelling the bottle. And that way it's like, really wonderful. So just find what works for you. Different people psychologically have different associations. So if there's a trauma that's related to somebody who smells like lavender oil, or for some reason you get lost in lavender fields as a child, you may have a negative association. So there's no blanket answer, but go to the store and pick yourself something out. And honestly, it's, when we first wrote the book, we had this idea for what we call the panic kit. Was for those suffering with panic attacks, you get a little kind of pouch, and you put in like some oil, you put in a letter to yourself, you record a video of yourself, a panic kit, so that you're just ready with it if a panic attack hits. And the best defense for panic attacks is a strong offense, knowing what to do. The box breathing is beautiful because you can do that from anywhere. You can do it in your car, you can do it at work. You don't need anything to do it. But beyond that, it's like if you want to take it to the next level, having those oils, anything, be ready. I mean, that's the big thing. Be ready. Honor that this is a place you can go, and if you neglect it, you're neglecting yourself, and it's only going to get worse. And guys, this is all in the Panic Response Plan book. If you don't have it, shoot us a message here on Facebook with your email, and we will be happy to send it to you. Happy. Yeah, but it's like in here, I got the incense going, I got a candle going, I got some oil in my beard. I got like 7 different scents going on. Oh man. Lavender. Rhea says I use lavender. Cindy, message it. Do me a favor and message it to us. Hit like a private message through Messenger. But I'll try to remember that. And if we don't send it to you, private message it to us, because we don't typically look at the comments after the show. And again, guys, if you haven't yet, you can schedule that free coaching call in the description of this video. If you want to do that, you can message us too, and I can send you the link to do that as well. They have a calming bracelet. You put oil in them. Yeah, actually, Ennis, for my birthday last year, him and his girlfriend gave me this necklace that had a little sponge, which you put a lavender oil scent in. And what I used to do is my girlfriend would put her perfume on a little piece of toilet paper because I lost the sponge, and she'd put it in there, and so even during like client sessions, sometimes I'd be, and they'd be like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just smelling my girlfriend's perfume. It's soothing for me. Peppermint oil. Remind you of Christmas, maybe. That's beautiful. So, and guys, feel free to keep posting questions, comments, thoughts, stories, anything in the chat. I wanted to ask those watching, are there any topics for YouTube videos that you'd be most interested in? We have a bunch of videos. All of these live streams are saved on our YouTube page, which I can share the link. I'm going to share the link in the chat. If you know somebody or you yourself gain value from the YouTube page or something, feel free to subscribe. We're constantly putting out content, but we'd love to know if you have suggestions of things that you want to hear about, specific anxieties, specific symptoms, specific, we have videos on depersonalization, derealization, health anxiety, holiday anxiety. We have videos on, we recorded a video that we encourage clients to show their spouse of how to deal with somebody who's suffering from anxiety. We have all kinds of videos about how to break anxiety, how to stop a panic attack by yawning, by inducing a yawn. Any topics you guys are interested in is so helpful to us, because we have a ton more videos coming. We have interviews with a doctor of counseling and all kinds of great stuff. We even have an interview and a reading that I did with a astrologer to figure out is there a way to use astrology to help anxiety? Or for me, it was, what the hell is astrology? What do I do with it? I didn't even know what astrology was, really. It's really interesting, though. Really, really interesting. Teresa says, I weirdly smelled my husband's deodorant often. I don't think that's actually that weird. I think that's actually common. A lot of the YouTube channel is called Inner Solutions. Let me get the link here. I'll put it in the chat. That's a really common soothing thing, is the smell of your partner's, shirt, cologne. For me, I used to wear this patchouli smell that, girlfriends used to. I think my girlfriend now has my shirt at her house that I just sprayed with patchouli that she wanted. And I think it's just soothing. It's your partner, it's your lover, it's your, sometimes your best friend. And smell is so soothing. All right, here's the link to the YouTube in the chat. Tons of stuff up there. And if there is a topic that you guys are interested in, please let us know. You can send us a message here on Facebook anytime. You can email us at hello@innersolutions.academy. Or you can comment on any of our YouTube videos. Ennis reads all of them and shares most of them with me. Okay, Cindy says, sometimes when I have an anxiety panic attack, I get outer body feeling and it scares me more. Is this common? Yes. The outer body, when you say outer body feeling, you mean like you're out of your body? Or do you mean like you get it, can you describe that a little more, Cindy? It sounds like depersonalization, when you kind of feel disconnected from your body. Very, very common. And so we were talking about this earlier in the chat, which is a lot of times that's a symbol of being stuck emotionally, that there's some kind of emotion that can't come out, and it's so uncomfortable that as a coping mechanism, it's not that your mind is disconnecting from your body, but there's a halt between your physical sensation and your cognitive abilities. That's kind of like depersonalization. It's a coping mechanism, similar to dissociation. It is common. It's extremely unpleasant, especially the derealization. That's extremely unpleasant. Yes, like I'm leaving my body. I feel like I'm dying. Yeah. Well, Cindy, that's extraordinarily common. So there are 2 videos in the YouTube channel about depersonalization, derealization. But Cindy, what I would recommend you do is when you start to have this panic attack, you try to sit in it as best as you can. And when it's kind of the worst of it is over, you try to get in touch with the fear. And you try to invite it forward. And it's not the fear like the overwhelming, let me put this very gingerly. You try to get in touch with the sadness and invite it forward, and you coach it not to overwhelm you. And you invite it to release a little bit through you. Typically this is through crying, or this is through some type of grieving. And once that emotion flows, and it's even if some of it is released from the body, you'll feel much more connected to yourself. Think of it that it's this depersonalizing part is trying to help you. And Cindy, when you go deeper into parts work and you connect with that depersonalizing part, you'll find that it is trying to help you. Oh, thanks, Teresa. Lots of love, Teresa. Hopefully we get to connect real soon. You'll find that it's trying to help you. I get a lot of my attacks while I'm driving. Yeah, this is common for a couple different reasons. Number one, your attention is, part of your attention is diverted, so you have less, it almost sounds weird, but you're actually less kind of distracted or engaged. Driving becomes such a kind of motor function autopilot deal that if you're not completely engaged with it, it's almost like an opportunity where the panic can see an opening. This is why people have a lot of panic attacks or anxiety while they're sleeping or when they first wake up, because it's like their brain is kind of just awakening. Certain parts of the brain, the intellectual part of the brain, is just awakening, and so it hasn't kind of aligned or calibrated to, hey, we have to cope with anxiety. And so that's when you're kind of most vulnerable. It's the same with driving, and it's very similar. It happens a lot with people in the shower as well, where it's kind of like your motor function takes over. And it also happens with people that they're most creative while they're driving or in the shower, because again, it's like, yeah, they can kind of automate, they're just washing themselves. It doesn't take a lot of cognitive function. You have to think like, okay, let me get right into, right on the tip of my shoulder and do 6 times. No, it's like kind of autopilot. You're just moving and grooving, and so you're a little more susceptible because your kind of autopilot motor function is taking over. So driving and shower is the most common. And driving turns into almost one of the biggest fears for people, because it's like, well, first of all, I'm all alone. I'm away from home. If I'm, especially with the freeway, if I'm at a high speed and I have a panic attack, what's going to happen? But I've never heard of the hundreds or more of people that I've dealt with that have had panic attacks or anxiety. A lot of them had driving anxiety, and I've never heard of one having an accident. Yeah, Ria. So that, again, that's kind of, that buffer can help. But if you go into some exposure and response therapy with the driving, and so you little by little expand upon like how long you can be alone, or expand upon how far you can go from the house by yourself, you find that gradually you can start to develop the confidence that everything's going to be okay, even when anxiety hits. Does the salt lamp help? I see you have one near you. Does it help? I mean, it looks cool. I don't know if it helps with anxiety. It helps like make the room look cool, which makes me feel better. Feel a heck of a lot cooler. Well, yeah. So guys, we're going to start to wrap up. I want to do a quick exercise before we go. But I just want to say, number one, thank you guys so much for hanging out. We all miss Ennis, but I love doing this. And I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate you guys being here. We do have, if you're looking for more help, we do have some slots open for one-on-one coaching. We do have slots open for our group coaching program, which the group coaching has been excellent. The class size is pretty small right now, so there's a lot of one-on-one attention going on, so it's fantastic. If you don't have a copy of the Panic Response Plan book and want one, we will send it to you over the computer. Just shoot us your email through private message through the Inner Solutions page here. You can schedule your free coaching call with us. There's no obligation. The purpose of that call, and those calls are totally confidential, non-judgmental. The purpose of that call is to give you some personalized attention and some practical steps to move forward in your journey. Those seem to be incredibly useful for people. And beyond that, guys, I just want to do a quick 2 to 3 minute exercise. So where you are, if you're somewhere where you can concentrate, I want you just to listen to the sound of my voice. So you can put your phone down and just sit or lay down somewhere comfortable, or if you're standing, wherever. If you're driving, do not do this. The book is free, Carmen. The book is for us is something that we wrote. We give out to people so they have something to go to help them all the time. So I want you guys just to relax, and if it feels right, close your eyes. If not, feel free to keep your eyes open. But I want you just to take a second and give yourself permission to just be. Just be. You don't have to do anything. There's nothing to accomplish. Just sit, lay down, stand. Just going to take a minute or two just to be. And just notice what's going on while you are just being. Maybe it's hard for your thoughts to slow down. That's okay. Don't try to slow them down. Just let them be. Maybe you have some physical sensations. Just notice them. They're just sensations. And maybe they're triggering thoughts. Maybe there's catastrophizing thoughts or panicky thoughts. Those aren't necessarily true. They're just there, trying to protect you or trying to alert you. What's up, Bobby? I want you just to imagine for a second what your life would be like with your anxiety not turned off, but just turned down significantly. I want you to think of maybe 2 or 3 things that would be significantly different. And I want you to notice the feeling that comes with that. Maybe there's a feeling of hopelessness, like it's unachievable. You don't have to absorb that thought or that feeling. Just notice it. That's not necessarily true. But just notice how your mind and body react to the thought of turning down your anxiety significantly. Maybe think of the freedom. And I want you to say to all these parts inside of you, we can do that. We can have that. And just notice if there's a part blocking that, blocking you from absorbing that. Or maybe there's a part that was blocking the vision of being low anxiety. And that's okay. Again, that part is not necessarily telling the truth. Just notice it. And just let it know. We can. We could have that. Now take a deep breath. Nod your head. Just to acknowledge the parts that came up, the thoughts that came up. And guys, when it feels right, open your eyes and kind of re-enter the world. But try to take some of this hopefulness, some of this deeper truth that no matter where you are, no matter how long you've been struggling, no matter how intense your struggle is, you're never stuck. You might just need some support, and you might just need to prioritize your happiness, your health, and your freedom. My name is Jim, guys, from Inner Solutions. Thank you so much for your time. We're here every Tuesday at 6:30. And if there's anything we can do for you, please shoot us a private message here or email us at hello@innersolutions.academy. These videos are on our YouTube and our Facebook page. So if there's something we talked about that you want to check out again, these are always here. Thank you so much. Good health, good mental health, and lots of love. Talk to you guys soon.